Guys, welcome back to another video. This one is called Customer Success and Experience. I wasn't planning on doing this one, but I think it's quite relevant. And it's something that I really try to champion in my agency and other things that I've done moving forward. And I think it's going to be very relevant to lead generation because it's about the metrics that you do after you get the leads and why they matter. So here's what we're going to cover. We need to obsess over the customer, not the competition. We want to deliver on promises and then some. We want to create a seamless and memorable experience. Build long-term relationships, not transactions. Obsess over the customer, not the competition. Obsession over the competition, guys, is really easy to do. I get it. I used to do it as well. It's hard. What we want to do is just obsess, spend all of our time thinking about how can we bring as much fucking value to the table as possible? How can we deliver results? How can we help them? How can we foresee problems? How can we solve them before they even realize there's a problem? So we want to understand deep needs. Go beyond service level goals. Identify the underlying problems or aspirations clients have that your service can address. Why was this brief created? What is the underlying problem? So let's say you sit down for a meeting with a client and they give you a creative brief and they need you to do this. Okay, cool. Why are we doing this? There's this brief happened because of another underlying problem that we can also solve. Who are we solving it for? What does success look like? What can we do to know that at the end of it, we've really hit the nail on the head? How can we go past success? How can we over-deliver on this? Ask these kind of questions and understand what the deep need is. It's not always, we need a video that does this. Okay, why? Why do we need a video that does that? Oh, because we need to get this message across. Why do we need to get this message across? Oh, because, there was recently some bad article about us that we don't care about X. Okay, cool. So we have a branding problem. Yeah, I guess so. Okay, cool. Well, let's see if we can solve the branding. Right? You see how you get a bit deeper, you get deeper, and then you understand what the real need is. That's the fucking problem we solve. Anticipate future needs. Think about what clients might need before they do. Proactively suggest ideas and solutions to stay a step ahead. Bonus, make it before they ask. So if a client, if you're a videographer and you know that you're doing a project and you know that this client's probably going to need this in social cut format and portrait and square and 4:5 and stuff like that at some point. Before they even ask you for it, just make it. So, oh yeah, I thought you might need this. Here you go. That client's going to think you're sick because you've anticipated what they're going to need. And by doing that, you make them feel like you understand their problems and their pain points and you're empathetic. And you can't put a price on that, man. They are just going to love you for it. And I'm going to hammer it home again. When you niche, this becomes easier because you get very good and very experienced about what problems they're going to have later on down the line. For example, me knowing you, we can solve this lead gen problem if you put the work in. Your next problem is going to be scale. It's going to be, okay, how can I move these guys onto retainer? How can I use contracts? How can I use, what sort of software do I use to scale? How do I hire people? What do I offer them when I hire? How do I do this? How do I do that? All these other problems that come after you solve lead gen. Because, having more clients, having more leads doesn't solve the business. That's just another problem. You go to the next problem. Business owners, you're just problem solvers, right? There is no end. billion-dollar companies have problems. And people who make 5K a year have problems. They don't have enough leads. Most people have, that's the thing. Lead generation is just the most common problem, but it's not the only one. You keep going. There's problems that I don't know how to solve, right? I'd have to pay for a coach or a mentor to get me to that level if I wanted to. And that's the point of microeducation. Cool. So, continuous feedback loop. Regularly check in during the project to gather feedback, ensuring you're aligned and making necessary adjustments. Software that automates this will save you time and money. So we want to ideally put a system in place that when a project hits a certain milestone, if it's a third in or it's 2/3 in, et cetera, then there's be some sort of automation to let the client know where it is. So let's say, for example, that you're a videographer and it gets to, you complete the shoot, right? And it's like, okay, cool. Complete the shoot. I've got 2 more shoots this week, and then I'm going to get it on Monday. Monday comes along, you're on your CRM, you'll drag the client into a post-production box, which automatically emails the client, let them know that you've started the edit. And then you do the edit in a couple of days, and then, okay, cool. It now gets dragged into color grading. The client gets emailed. This edit's done. It's now in color grading mode. Cool. Oh, now it's in for review. Now it's in for check. You ever ordered a Domino's pizza, right? and it has the tracking metric. Like, this is kind of what you want for clients. So they know where the project's at all times. They haven't got to ask. They haven't got obsessed. They haven't got to worry. It's just all automated. Everything's just automated for them. That's what they want. That's what you want customer experience to be about, is just making the shit as easy as you fucking can for them and putting their mind at ease all the time. Sorry guys, I forgot to move the camera. We're back in the corner now. We're nice and big. Cultivate empathy. Always put yourself in the client's shoes to see things from their perspective. The better you get at this, the more money you will make. This is something I learned from my wife. I'm very good at decision making. I'm very good at being results driven, efficiency, stuff like that. But what I was shit at is, in my decision making, I would put empathy into the ingredients on which you make a decision. So I would just do things that I thought was the most efficient and the most effective, regardless of how it would make people feel. And that, as a business owner, that's a really good trait. But if you want to be one of the best, you need to bring empathy in. If anything, you need to lead with empathy. And it's really hard to do, because it's like, how far do you push someone in order to get the result done? Like, how much of how they're feeling do you take into the decision making? And that's emotional intelligence. And that's complicated. That's hard. But the more you can cultivate empathy, the better. Okay, cool. So we want to deliver on promises and then some. So under promise, over deliver. Set clear expectations up front. Be transparent about deliverables, timelines, and costs to avoid surprises. Lay out everything in terms of engagement letter or contract. So ideally, we want to have a terms of engagement or a contract that basically stipulates everything we're going to do, how we're going to do it, how much it's going to cost, how much things are. So there's no hidden surprises. The worst thing you can do to a client is get halfway through a project and say, oh, if you want this, it's X. It's like, oh, but we asked for that at the start. Or we kind of assumed we were getting that, blah, 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 blah. Like, regardless of whose fucking problem it is, it's your responsibility as the designer, as the creative, to get all that out in the open, to have set expectations clearly, right? And it's going to save you a lot of legwork, guys, just having this set out. Under promise, over deliver. Aim to exceed expectations subtly, whether by delivering early, providing a bonus element, or offering extra value. Do at least one every project. Make it part of your brand. Make it be known that this is what you do, right? Someone hires you and they've asked you to do X, and you always deliver X and a little Y, X and a little Y, X and a little Y. They become accustomed to it. They become accustomed to the fact that when they work with you, they get more. And this really highlights when they work with someone else who doesn't provide Y, right? That's when you really come into your own, because like, fuck, we worked with that guy and he just wasn't as good as Ben. And it wasn't that he wasn't as good as me, is that he didn't go the extra mile. Here's a nice little quote for you. When you go the extra mile, there is no traffic. No one's there. No one's driving the car the extra mile. It's just you, right? There's no one else there doing it. So go the extra mile, because when you're there, it's so easy to compete. Most people are shit at what they do because they don't care. It's getting a bit emotional now. Be relentless with quality. Focus on getting even the small details right, as these can set you apart and leave a lasting positive impression. Not only can they will. Do not get lazy on this. Don't send expectations. Don't send an expectation of amends. This is something I saw a lot of creators do. First draft sign off is the ultimate goal. Do not be in this mindset, guys, with a client where you think, this is probably good enough to send to them. They're going to amend it like loads anyway. I'll just get the feedback and see and go from there. Wrong fucking mindset, because your first draft is not the best first draft you could have put in. The goal is always that the first draft, you want to be going for sign off on that. Rare, hard, impossible, no. So many people I saw just had this lazy way of thinking of like, it's good enough to send it, they'll amend it, whatever. Like, guys, like, the first time you send something, make it as good as you possibly can. As good as you possibly can. Because when you do get first draft sign off, it feels amazing. It's like, fucking hell, I understood the client, the brief, the messaging, everything. Everything they were thinking about doing, I did. That's the goal. That's how you know when you're shit hot, guys, when you're getting first draft sign offs. Okay? Follow up post delivery. So once the project is complete, follow up to ensure the client is happy with the results and see if there's anything more you can help with. Systemize this. Automate this. Within our CRM, when a project gets moved into complete, a week later, they get sent an email asking for referrals, testimonials, things like that. Maybe a bit sooner for referrals and testimonials, because we want them in that sweet spot, that Goldilocks zone of heat, when they're just finished the project and they're really happy. We want to systemize as much as we can on this, because this takes work, and it's not so much the work of doing it, it's the work of remembering to do it. Hence why we want to systemize it. Cool. Next, we want to create a seamless and memorable experience. What do I mean by that? So we want to have effortless communication. Keep your communication clear, prompt, and organized to make the process easy for the client. Systemize this so that different things happen within your CRM, the customer's notified, which I spoke about earlier. Showcase the customer journey. Outline each project phase for the client, providing transparency and keeping them involved without overwhelming them. Milestones. So if you are a designer, you would put this into 3 phases, perhaps. You would have first phase is consultation and brand transparency of what we're going to build. Second phase is delivery of first draft. And third phase is project completion. At each milestone, you have a catch up, and maybe they pay part of the invoice as well. That's what I'd recommend doing. And go through that way. People don't move on to the next milestone until everyone's in agreement. That way, you don't get to the end of a project and you've massively misjudged it, or you've done it wrong, or the client expectations are wrong. This is why fluid communication via a customer journey via milestones is really key, and it's going to save you a lot of time and effort. Make problem resolution a priority. If something goes wrong, address it immediately and personally, offering solutions and maintaining transparency. You're a partner, not an employee. Take full responsibility on the results. If what you make doesn't hit the results that you promised or said it would, it is your responsibility. Do not go blaming people for X, Y, and Z, how this happened, how that happened. It's your fault. Take responsibility. Own it. Improve it. Fix it. You're a problem solver. As a business owner, you are not a service provider. You are a solution provider. So resolve it. Resolve the solution. Cool. Build long-term relationships, not transactions. So we want to stay in touch beyond the project, keep in contact for check-ins, sharing insights, celebrating their successes to foster loyalty. This is something we spoke about in all the other videos, but I want to put in here as another touch point. We want to create opportunities for growth. So we're going to show clients how they can benefit from continued work with you, whether by introducing new services or ideas. Big money is made here. 30% of your revenue will come from this, from upselling to existing clients and referrals, if not more. But as an average, an industry standard is around 30%. I don't want to hammer it home too much because I feel like I've really banged on about this through the course. But yeah, man, like loving your clients, looking after them, and upselling to them. Like, you don't need to have a big client base. You just need to have a small, dedicated team of true fans, of true clients who love working with you and love the results you deliver. And that'll be enough to feed you forever, especially if you build a personal brand. Turn clients into friends. Where possible, go beyond the B2B relationship, get to know them, and let them get to know you. Clients buy, friends stay. Clients buy, friends stay. Client might buy from you once, you never fucking hear from them again. Make them a friend, they'll stay around, they'll check in, they'll say, how are you? You'll say, how are you? What's going on? The reason this gets really popular, I'll give you an idea, a metric here, is in my time at the agency that I ran, the amount of times where I had a good relationship with someone and they would leave the company they were working at and they would go work for another company and they would bring us in to be a service provider, solution provider for that company. But not only that, we were still working for the last company they worked at. So that client has brought us into 2 separate companies because we became friends, because we had a tighter relationship. That happened multiple times. And that's where lifetime value of a client can really grow. Because if you have someone if you can find someone in marketing, for example, at a company, and they're hot shit, like, you know that they're either going to get promoted or they're going to go to another place and get promoted, and they're going to hop and grow the ladder. Become friends with these people and get really fucking good at helping them. Make the shit they ask you to make for them, make it so good that their status at the company increases. Because if you make them look good, they're going to like you a lot. And if they like you a lot, they're going to keep coming back. And when they keep changing up the corporate ladder, they're going to employ you more and more. Like I said, to reiterate, the amount of clients, the big clients we had at Otter, we didn't just land them on day one. We worked with them for years, and they grew and grew and grew. They grew from a company making 100 grand a year into 8 million a year. You know, that's how you do it, is time. Working with these people day in, day out, helping them, becoming a long-term solution partner. Actively seek and apply feedback. Regularly ask for feedback to understand where you can improve, reinforcing their success. The goal is to get to a point where feedback and praise become the same thing. So we want to get to a point where the feedback you get is always positive. And it just sounds like praise because you're always delivering, right? We want it to be the same thing. At the start, when you're figuring shit out, you're going to get feedback that isn't always going to be positive, but use that to grow. And eventually you'll get to a point where feedback is always positive, and the difference between feedback and praise is the same. I hope you enjoyed that video. I don't know if it was overly needed for lead gen, but this is something I'm very passionate about as customer journey, making sure the customers you have, you really fucking sort them out, because so many people leave so much money on the table by not focusing on these metrics, not focusing on how they can bring people from X to Y, and nurturing their client list and upselling to them and making sure that once the project's done, it's not over. Okay. You need to start thinking of long-term value on clients. You don't think of, oh, this client's come in, they've given me $3,000. Cool. That's $3,000. It's like, nah, man. Who can they refer you to that's going to give them more money? It's going to give you more money. And what sort of services can you upsell? What sort of retainers can you build for this client? Right? How can we work together for years, not weeks? And then all of a sudden, your lifetime value of a client goes up dramatically, and therefore so does your business, because it's so much easier to keep clients than it is to get new ones. But yeah, that's it for the course, guys. I hope that's given you enough. I may add some other stuff in later down the line, but if not, let me know. Drop me a DM and let me know how you got on, or post in the community. And post if you've got any wins. Like, I'm expecting people to have wins here. Like, if you're doing the warm outreach, cold outreach at the start, and you're posting organic content, within a month, within a few days, you can get clients and you will get leads. You just got to put the time in. But I believe in you. You can do it. I believe in you. Yeah. Cool. Checking out. See you soon.